of everyone on Golden State. Open shot, fate of the universe on the line, or the Martians have the death beam pointed at Earth. You better hit it. I want Iguodala.
Iguodala had a good look for three. Iguodala drops it in.
Yes, that is Andre Iguodala closing out the Utah Jazz on their home floor. Prior to making this three-point shot, Iguodala had shot 10 of 45 from 3 on the season. That's including the other big 3 he also made against Utah this same game. But this right here is what is so special about the Golden State Warriors. If we take it back just 2 games before this, who stepped up for the Golden State Warriors against the reigning Western Conference champions? None other than Otto Porter Jr. Now, why is this so special, you might ask? Because neither of these guys will be closing out games come playoff time when these 2 Hall of Famers return to the team. That is the depth of the Warriors. In 2 of the last 3 games against fully healthy Phoenix Suns and Utah Jazz teams on their home courts, who have had a combined record of 156 wins and 59 losses over the last 1.5 regular seasons, the Warriors left with wins on both occasions despite missing numerous core pieces both times. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If the teams with the second and third best records in the league have no answer for Golden State without their full team, what are we going to be looking at when the Warriors are fully healthy? Because let's not forget, this man's return is just around the corner. Oh, and if you guys wanted an update on how Klay Thompson's return is coming along, this is what Steph Curry said when asked about Klay Thompson returning to scrimmages with the first team. A lot of shots. I think I counted like 17 in 12 minutes. He was getting run. How many did he make? A good amount. He shot over 50%. Not to mention, Klay Thompson also made 24 straight threes in warm-up prior to the Jazz game. 24 straight threes. And he's shooting above 50% from the field against not just any team in scrimmages, against the best team in the league. I think it's fair to say Klay Thompson will be back. However, a big reason I'm making this video isn't just to talk about the impact Klay Thompson will have on this starting lineup, but it's the knock-on effect that will leave the Warriors with the scariest bench in the NBA. Now, this is Chris Chiozza and this is Jordan Poole. As you can see, there is a slight difference in stats. Why is this comparison important? Because prior to the return of Klay Thompson, the Warriors were forced to play Chris Chiozza as the backup point guard. That role will now be assigned to Jordan Poole, an 18-point-per-game scorer coming off your bench. Just to put this into perspective, these are the numbers of Jordan Clarkson, Jordan Poole, and Tyler Hero. Clarkson was last year's 6th Man of the Year, Tyler Hero was the 6th Man of the Year so far in many people's opinion, and then you have Jordan Poole, who is putting up very, very comparable stats in similar minutes. So just to get this straight, the Golden State Warriors will not only have 4 All-Star level players in their starting lineup, hashtag Andrew Wiggins, hashtag All-Star by the way, do that, but they will also have a near 20-point-per-game scorer coming off the bench that has numbers nearly identical to last year's 6th Man of the Year. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. I know you guys heard me mention point guard and Jordan Poole in the same sentence. The numbers might be a little deceiving, but don't get it confused. Poole is a very capable playmaker, and he will be asked to playmake off the bench, potentially forming a deadly partnership with James Wiseman. Yes, James Wiseman is nearing a return, and I think we'll see a partnership similar to these two. Does that sound crazy? Well, it's not, because we all know James Wiseman is a pick and roll threat and serious lob threat. I mean, just look at this.
Wiseman slipping and hammering. Wiseman on the rescreen. Wiseman on the roll. Oh!
But what a lot of people don't realize is Jordan Poole is close to the top 90 percentile of pick and roll ball handlers. Statistically, he is one of the best pick and roll ball handlers in the NBA, and he will be playing that role off the bench alongside a 7-foot monster athlete that can catch lobs at will. We saw a glimpse of what this will look like against Utah. Paul had missed a couple of weeks, so he wasn't fully healthy, but even in those 17 minutes he played, he was a +8 with 10 points and 2 assists, including this dime, which is the kind of playmaking I expect to see a lot more off the bench. Now, if you still aren't convinced by Jordan Poole's playmaking, here's another example. And another example. Also, quick side note, GP2 should not be able to jump like that. He is 6'2". Did you see the lob he caught against the Utah Jazz? But anyways, let's get back on topic. Everyone right now is focused on what the starting lineup will look like with the Warriors, or even better, the death lineup that could look something like this. But what we shouldn't overlook is a bench unit. A bench unit that could look something like this. Right there, you have 3 guys that are certified starter quality in GP2, Poole and Otto Porter Jr. You have the potential and X factor of Kuminga and Wiseman that will play minutes, don't get it twisted, and then you have the experience with Iguodala, Damian Lee, JTA, and Bjelica. This team is deep, and we've already seen how important that depth is with health and safety protocols ravaging NBA teams. All I'll say is, it's going to be very hard to ravage this team when anyone can step up on any given night. Now, if you want an example of this, look no further than the 2 games against Utah and Phoenix. And in particular, look no further than Otto Porter Jr. and Gary Payton II. They have started a combined 8 games this season, but in those starts, they have been incredible. In particular, against the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz, where we saw Otto Porter Jr. torch those 2 teams. That is not an exaggeration. The Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz will be having nightmares about Otto Porter Jr. Now, despite this depth, despite Quinn Snyder suggesting Draymond Green is playing at an MVP level alongside what Steph Curry is continuing to do, there might be one weakness for the Warriors, and that is the size against these dominant interior bigs. We have now seen it against the Jazz and the Suns, in which Ayton and Gobert were able to absolutely dominate on the glass and right at the rim. As you can see in these examples, the sheer size of Gobert was too much for the Warriors, who were not only without Draymond, but James Wiseman. And this right here is the importance of Wiseman, and a reason Steve Kerr likened what he could potentially do to what DeAndre Ayton did for the Phoenix Suns. His size, his physicality is unlike anyone on the Warriors roster, and even in 10 to 15 minute bursts, that size could be the difference against some of these more dominant interior presences, and that's why we should not forget about the impact James Wiseman could have on this team. However, with all of this being said, this might not even matter, because when you add Klay Thompson to the offensive firepower of this Warriors team, with Draymond Green playmaking as a small ball 5, teams bigs like Gobert and Ayton will be absolutely scrambling trying to figure out how to defend the Warriors. Just like we saw in the 4th quarter against the Jazz, where Curry hit big shot after big shot, exploiting the Jazz's defensive scheme involving Gobert, in which he was trying to drop back every single time Steph didn't have the ball and got caught lacking on a few occasions, as you see in these examples. Anyways, that's all I've got to say. If you did make it to the end of the video, you must have enjoyed it a little bit, so drop a like, would help out a ton. Subscribe to the channel. Happy New Year. Have a great day. Thanks for the support. Bye.